Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be choosing my July TBR. Almost said that wrong because it does not feel like it can be almost July, but it is. So in the month of June, I didn't have the greatest reading month. I did at least try most of the books that were on my TBR. I DNF'd a few, but I did get through most of them. My method of choosing is still going to be my TBR jar cup situation. I took all these out, mixed them up, put them back in here, so hopefully we're not gonna get the same ones that we got last month. And I'll go ahead and show you what I'm looking at on my screen here. I am looking at my TBR. These are mostly books on these first two screens that are gonna be from the library or that I have on my Kindle. So this first one, you can see I got a lot of choices here. And then I had so many that I had to create a second page. It is what it is. I like to put books on hold. And then I have my owned physical books that I have not read yet. So you can see all of those and some things that I am pretty excited to read in there too. So I think we are going to just go ahead and get started. I am planning to pick 8 prompts from the jar and then make my choices. I do have a few books at the end that I'll talk about that are gonna be on my TBR either way. So let's go ahead and get started. So you can see I've got, I don't know how many, a lot of slips of little pink paper in here. So I'm just gonna close my eyes and I'm gonna draw, I don't wanna draw that one. Let's draw this one. That one felt like it had been unfolded before. And let's see what we have. Okay, and I'm gonna do my best to show these, we'll see. Starts with a random letter. So what I'm going to do then is I'm gonna pull up a random letter generator on my phone. So we have our wheel. I'll show you my phone. It's a little sketchy. And I'm gonna spin and we're gonna see what we get. So I'm gonna hit spin and I'm just gonna hold it up there. Sorry if it looks crazy. And what are we gonna get? Is it done? I think it's done. All right. Looks like we got the letter R. Good. That's a common letter. Let's see what we have that's going to have something within the title that starts with the letter R. Now that I've said that, there's not gonna be anything, right? Nothing on the first row, nothing on the second row. Nothing, I've got nothing. Oh, I found one. We have the No Girlfriend Rule, which is a cute romance that is written by a local author in Cincinnati where I live. So I have one. Then we do have the Reformatory by Tananarive Due. Okay, that's really hard. It is summertime and it definitely feels like a romance kind of time. Like I love reading romances in the summer, but I am reading a lot of romances already for the summer. And I have wanted to read the Reformatory for quite some time. So I think that I'm gonna choose the Reformatory, but if I start it and I'm not into it, I reserve the right to go to that other one. All right, one down. That was harder than I thought. It turns out there are not nearly as many book titles that start with the letter R as I thought there were, so let's do another pick. All right, let's see, what do we have? All right, it feels like I've done it before too. I'm trying to get some that feel like I have not done them. Okay, do I have one? I have one. Okay, what is it? Let's see. Okay, this one says, published this year. So that should be a little bit easier because I love to read a new release. Let's see what I have in here. Okay, again, I have the No Girlfriend Rule. I have The Other Valley. That is a speculative, I think science fiction, fantasy. I'm not really sure. It's got something to do with kind of alternate timelines. Where the Sleeping Girls Lie, that was published this year. You Should Be So Lucky is a romance novel that just came out really recently, so I know that one is new. Dreadful is a cozy fantasy that came out this year. I have Heartless Hunter, and I Hope This Finds You Well. All right, so for book published this year, I think I'm gonna go with You Should Be So Lucky by Sebastian, which is a romance between a baseball player and a reporter, and it's historical. I think it's set in the 1950s, 1960s. So I think I'm gonna pick that. All right, we're gonna do pick number 3 from the jar. Let's see. Pick this one. Let's see what we have. We have a book that is recommended by BookTube. I don't know if you can see that. All right, book that was recommended by BookTube. Well, I like this one because this is gonna give me a lot of choices because I watch a lot of BookTube. So let's see, what do I want to read? Okay, so one of the top ones for this is going to be The Will of the Many, which I started quite a while ago, didn't finish it, softy NF'd it, but I'm really feeling like I'm in the mood because everyone has been talking about it so much. That's definitely one that's been super hot on BookTube, so that is one that I'm gonna put as a possibility. And then also, I just watched a video about Crying in H Mart, recommendation for that memoir, so I'm interested in that. And then I just saw Pat from Book Chat with Pat recommend Loved and Missed as a book that she read for the BookTube Awards this year and she loved. I do want to read that, so that's number 3. I know I got the recommendation for The Library at Mount Char off of BookTube because otherwise it sounds really weird and I've never heard of it. And then we have Severance by Ling Ma, which I had never heard of until I saw, I think, Reagan from Peru's Project read it. So we're gonna stop there because probably all of these are recommendations, and I'm gonna go ahead and go with The Will of the Many because I feel left out that I have not finished that book. So that is gonna be our 3rd pick, The Will of the Many, and hopefully I'm able to get it from the library this month. All right, I'm gonna try and mix these up. That was 3 picks, here's number 4. Okay, what do we have? We have a sequel from your TBR. So something down here that is a sequel to a book I have already read. Okay, so I have on here that are sequels, I have Abaddon's Gate, that is the 3rd book in The Expanse. I have The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. That's the sequel to The Serpent and the Wings of Night. Those are some long titles, right? By Carissa Broadbent. I have A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross. That is the 2nd book in the, I think it's the Elements of Cadence duology. I have Nona the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. Oh, and I also have The Bullet That Missed, which is the 3rd book in the Thursday Murder Club series by Richard Osman. Those are really cute mysteries that I love. But I am feeling like the one I am ready to dive into is going to be Nona the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. I hope I'm ready. So I really loved Gideon the Ninth. Gideon the Ninth is one of my favorite fantasy books. I was very confused by Harrow the Ninth, but I feel like in the end it was worth it. And I also feel like all that confusion was on purpose. But I always warn people that if you're gonna read this series, the 2nd book is gonna take everything you learned in the 1st book and just throw it in the trash can. So, but also I love it. And I'm so ready to read Nona the Ninth before I forget everything that happened in Harrow the Ninth, which I already feel like I'm starting to do. So Nona the Ninth is gonna be my 4th pick for this month. All right, let's go on to my 5th pick for the month of July. We are going to do a new to you author. So someone who I have not read before, and there are probably a ton of these on here. Let's see, I have Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I have not read that or anything by her. We have Inkblood Sister Scribe by Emma Torse. I have not read anything by that author. That might be a debut, actually. I'm not sure. Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I have not read any of her books. We have Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I think it's Rogerson. As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. That's one that I've been wanting to read for a very long time. All right, so I think that my choice for book by an author I haven't read is going to be As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. That is a young adult story that I have been wanting to read for a really long time, and I think it's time to get it off of my TBR and actually read it. I anticipate loving it, so I think that'll be a really good choice for that. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 3 more picks. All right. We have a romance. So just says a romance, any kind of a romance. So I have many choices. Let's see, what do we have on here that's a romance? I have Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. That's her young adult. Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter again. I'm gonna count Romantasy for this, I think. So The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. That's gonna be a Romantasy. And then we have this Grace Draven book, Phoenix Unbound. All right, so I think my pick is going to be Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret. It might be Rogerson. I may have been saying it wrong the entire time. My picture here is very small. So Sorcery of Thorns, I've heard a lot of really good things about this romantasy. A lot of people saying that it is one to read if you are picky about characterization within your romance, which I definitely am. So I'm excited to read that one and see what I think of that this month. All right, we have 2 more picks. All right, pick number 7 is going to be a book by a BIPOC author. The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, because why not start a new series? There's one. We have Black Sun by Rebecca Rowanhorse. That's a series that I've been wanting to start. Again, it's another series, I know. Then we have Crying in H Mart, Severance, The Empress of Salt and Fortune. That's a novella you could read for that. All right, so I think my choice for this is going to be Severance by Ling Ma. So this is a dystopian, post-dystopian. I'm not sure if it's dystopian. It's definitely post-apocalyptic. I know it's very short. It's probably gonna be depressing, but I've heard some really good things. So I think that's gonna be my pick for that. All right, so where are we? We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 1 more pick from the jar. Let's see. Take this one here. And that one is going to be Sean's pick. So let me pause and I will return with Sean to let him pick from my TBR, and then I have to read whatever it is that he picks. All right, so you got the last pick, Sean. What are you thinking for me? Because I talk to you about my reading constantly, so no pressure.
All right, I am going to pick Come Tumbling Down by Sean McGuire, because I've already read it and it continues the story of Jack and Jill, and I know that you liked the Jack and Jill part of that story.
It's fair.
And so I want you to get caught up.
I am so not caught up. I think she has another book coming out in the series like
in
January, and I'm like 5 books behind, so. All right, sounds perfect. Thank you, Sean. That was a solid pick by Sean. It was fair. I was going to continue ignoring that I need to read the next book in the Wayward Children series by Shauna McGuire for as long as possible, even though I am really looking forward to the next book, just because I think I liked the last book. The one before that, I didn't really care for that much at all. So, but yes, I'm on book number 5, so it's time to read it. So there we have all my jar picks, and now I need to talk to you about the books that I'm going to be reading that are from outside of that list. I have 2 books to read in July that are arcs. Both of these books are actually coming out the first Tuesday in August, so I want to be ready to review them and be ready. I try to be really conscious of timelines when it comes to requesting arcs and not get more than I can read. I did end up with 2 this month. Usually I try to only have 1. The first one is A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. And I am so excited. T. Kingfisher is one of my top favorite authors. I love everything I think that I have read by her. And this one sounds amazing. It says, a dark retelling of the Brothers Grimm Goose Girl, rife with secrets, murder, and forbidden magic. So I don't know the Goose Girl story. And I'm trying to decide if I should read it before I read this book. I feel like I probably should. This sounds like it's going to be good. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's a fantasy retelling of a fairy tale, which is something that I really love. It's got a beautiful cover, and I was so excited to be approved for the arc when I was, and I have been waiting because I didn't want to read it too early. I wanted to read it close to publication date. So I have been waiting for 3-4 months to be able to read this one. So I'm really excited. And then the other arc that I have to read, I actually was just approved for on NetGalley, and that is The Mercy of Gods by James S.A. Corey. I really love the Expanse series. I am only on book 3 right now, but I am planning to read the entire, I think it's a 9-book series at some point. Trying to work my way through them. I've got a lot of series. But this is a new series. So this is something, if you've been thinking, I think, about reading James S.A. Corey, but you're intimidated by how long the Expanse is, maybe you could get in at the beginning and see how you feel. So the description says, how humanity came to the planet called Anjin is lost in the fog of history. But that history is about to end. So I don't really, it's a space opera, right? It's gonna be a space opera. It's James S.A. Corey. I'm sure it's gonna be great. I don't really know that much about the story. The description here is very long, and I don't really wanna read the whole thing because I feel like it might be a little bit spoilery, because I have experienced that a few times recently with books that they will reveal something in the description that I feel like I would have liked to have found out for myself. So I'm not gonna read that whole description, just the little summary blurb there at the beginning. And I'm looking forward to reading this. I'm sure it's going to be exciting because all of James S.A. Corey's books are. And I'm looking forward to reading that and talking about it in my end of the month wrap up this month. And then the last book I have that I'm planning to read for certain in July is The Light of the Jedi. Actually, I think it's just Light of the Jedi. So I have never read a Star Wars book. I am traditionally a Star Trek fan more than I am a Star Wars fan, but Sean is a really big Star Wars fan. He reads a lot of the books. We've been kind of working our way through all of the modern Star Wars television media. I think we are like partway through the Bad Batch show right now in the timeline, and I lost a little bit of steam on that one, I think, but we're gonna get back to it. But anyway, I said that I would really like to start reading the books, and I watched a couple videos, and I was like feeling like this might be a good place to start. So this book takes place before the events that take place in the movies. So it's like hundreds of years before the events in the original trilogy, whatever it is that they're calling them now. I can't remember. And so this feels like a good place to start because it's not familiar characters, it's new characters. I've heard good things. It's written by Charles Soule. I don't know anything about him. But it says, long before the First Order, before the Empire, before the Clone Wars, Jedi lit the way for the galaxy in the High Republic. So this is the first book in the High Republic series. And this book came out, when did this come out? 2021, so about 3 years ago. And there are more books in the series now. So I'm interested in getting into Star Wars books and giving it a try. So this is the one that I am going to start with. I know everybody says read the Thrawn books, but I'm not gonna start with the Thrawn books, right? I'm gonna start with this, and then I'm gonna move forward because I am interested in reading some of them. Actually, I think I've only read one. I read Leia by Claudia Gray, which is a young adult kind of coming of age story about Princess Leia. So that is it. That is my plans. That is 11 books that I am planning to read in the month of July. Will I get to them all? We'll see. I certainly hope to, planning to do a few reading vlogs and some other fun things. Hope if you have not subscribed that you will. Please leave me a comment. If you can't think of what to leave for a comment, why don't you go ahead and leave me a fireworks, since in the US where I live, it is our Independence Month. So I am so grateful to everyone who watches, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.